this idea of being a man, like what is that? Masculinity can mean many different things. And being a man, like, who's to say who is or isn't?
Like, I love the idea that there was just more acceptance about what it means to be a man, the fact that there's more acceptance to being able to express your emotions. Like, that was something that was, I mean, when I was growing up, you don't do that.
What culture always does, in my opinion, is to put labels on it. So if you are this way, you're in this box, and this is what you have to develop, right? That's why boys don't cry, right? Because you have to be the decision maker, the strong, the leader.
You can't show weakness,
the
right?
greedy. You can't show weakness, because otherwise you would be leaning towards feminine. And
when you ask me like what is being a man, and to me, and what my idea of strength is, and I said doing the right thing because it's the hardest thing, to me it's also grit.
It's about resilience, right?
Resilience,
like that you can pursue, that
Keep
you fall
pushing.
and you can stand up, and then, like, you're
Right,
not
you don't
there,
cave,
like
you don't crumble,
you don't give up.
when things don't go your way, you don't just like fall into a puddle of mush. Like, that's real strength, right? And so then, okay, so now getting back to you just ran your second 100-mile marathon. I can't run.
It doesn't fit in our brains, like that you can do that.
So does that make you masculine? Do you feel
I'd say it's masculine energy.
All right.
100%.
Okay.
Like that, channeling that.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee, Matcha, and Soul. I'm here with Victoria Negri, a friend of ours who was on season 1, and she's coming back and filling in for Guillermo Ivan while he's not here. Unfortunately, Guy is on a big film out in LA. Is that where he's filming?
In Nevada.
In Nevada. Awesome. Yeah. So he couldn't be here with us. So.
Well, fortunately for him, that's really cool.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's great.
Unfortunately
it's great.
for us.
We're very happy for him. Unfortunately for us, but we
I'm
have
here.
you. Yes. So we have Victoria, which is great. And, myself and Zair, we're back. And today we're going to be talking about, there was a bit about the news, and it keeps coming up, this idea of masculinity. And I thought we should maybe talk about this, and I think we have great guests to talk about this with. But I recall recently I was with some friends, and with friends we were talking about, well, what does it mean to be a man? And this idea of masculinity. And I have my thoughts, and I'm sure you all do too. And I think it would be a wonderful subject to talk about, because I think people are being misled. I mean, we hear a lot about this manosphere and toxic masculinity. And so I think today's subject, talking about what does masculinity mean and what should it mean and what does it look like, would be pretty interesting. So who wants to open up?
So I'm curious to know, what's your concept of what being masculine mean, especially you being the male in this.
Okay. Well, I think the interesting thing about it is my idea of masculinity has evolved over time. And it meant something very different in the 90s when I was a kid growing up into present day. And I was actually kind of excited for the trajectory of where it was going. Like, I love the idea that there was just more acceptance about what it means to be a man, the fact that there's more acceptance to being able to express your emotions. Like, that was something that was, I mean, when I was growing up, you don't do that. And still, I'll admit, it's very hard for me to cry in public. Like, I don't know what the circumstances would be for me to cry in public, because it's so etched into my being that a man does not cry. Right. And so only in very rare instances have I ever cried, but I don't think ever in public. So that's still with me. So as I saw this idea of what it means to be a man, and masculinity has evolved over time, it seemed like there was this refreshing, like, inclusivity or relaxing of those old ideas. And what's a little disheartening, though, is to be hearing that there are people peddling these old ideas of what masculinity ought to be and should be and what it means to be a man. And that was what led me to want to talk about this was the conversation I had with my friends, and I won't say who, but one of my uh, women friends was like, no, I want a real man, a man that could take care of me, a man. That was what one of my friends was saying to me. And I was like, oh, okay. So what does that mean to be a real man? Do you need a real man to fight, or what makes a real man? What does strength really mean? And so but it's changed, because actually, okay, if we want to say that strength makes a person a real man, what to me means strength, my whole idea of strength has changed. What to me means, it's like to do the right thing. It's really, really hard to do the right thing all the time. That takes a lot of will and strength. So I see what it means to be a man is to like do the right thing or the moral thing every time, and not to cheat and hurt people or do the amoral thing. The amoral thing is the easy thing. Getting ahead at all costs, that's the easy thing. Finding ways to cheat someone out of their stuff, that's easy.
But was your friend referring to when she wanted a real man, she wanted a man who cheated and who do all those stuff?
She said, her exact words as, I want a man that can just like pick me up and throw me over his shoulder and take care of me. And I'm like, wow, okay. So she wants like this idea of a caveman. She wants someone who's like physically strong and who's tough. And so I think there's those ideals, and that gets to that toxic masculinity. And what I was saying to her was like, oh, okay, so that's interesting. So do you need your man, like, what makes him strong? Like the fact that he could fight? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you just looking for physical strength? If he did sports, would that make him a real man? Like what is it?
What
But
did she
for
say?
her, yeah, she backed off on the fighting thing. She was like, yeah, no, I don't know. He doesn't need to fight, But yeah, I think she was like, yes, I want a tough. She wanted someone tough. So what that idea of tough is like, I guess, emotionally resistant, right? So someone who doesn't cry, who's not all emotional, right? And I guess someone who's physically capable of defending her or something. I don't know.
I think there's a lot of different things going on in society right now of, what people are saying publicly versus then these like interesting private conversations, because I think, like, I talk about this with my brother all the time, and he's said similar things like, it's men don't cry. And I don't like, he's like, for him, he's like, I was taught, like, society taught me that.
Yeah.
It's not that he believes it. He doesn't. Like, we've had intense emotional conversations where I'm crying, and he's said to me, like, I wish I could cry right now. I just can't. And it gets like, I feel bad for the men in my life that have been trained to shut down these feelings, and not express them. And then hearing from women who think that way, of wanting a partner like that, I wonder if she really actually does, because then when you're in that relationship and many years go by, where's the connection? Where's the emotional vulnerability between you and somebody who, is like the extreme of it, just someone who is just very not expressive and not able to express feelings. So it's, and then there's also the idea of, this idea of being a man. Like, what is that? Because gender is so interesting to me. Like, masculinity can mean many different things. And being a man, like, who's to say who is or isn't? It's for you to say, but what does that mean for you as a person, that I identify as a man? What is that for you? Versus masculinity, I think they're two different things, actually, because you can be a man but be a very feminine
Right,
Yeah.
right. I think when they say, I want a man,
Yeah.
a real man, they are talking about this idea of what masculinity is and stuff.
Like
But
really old school kind of.
yeah.
But
I know
do
what you
you
mean.
think that's the thing? Because, well, I don't know your friend, and I don't know what she's trying to get to when she says that. I've heard more than once also that some women,
Mhm.
and because of, as we coin toxic masculinity,
Mhm.
there is also toxic femininity,
Oh,
right? And so
I haven't heard that term. Okay.
and so it's this idea that, being a feminist has gotten so far when you annihilate any goodness in men, right? When you
Mhm.
are an extreme feminist. Like nothing a man can do for
It's good.
you is good.
Right.
And that has shaped some societies into men. I don't know if that resonates with you, but some men have stopped being gentlemen because women don't like that. Like you wouldn't open the door of a car for a woman anymore
Yeah,
because it
yeah.
can be misleading or misinterpreted, right?
Yes.
And so that has created also some men that are careless.
Yeah.
Like the same man that is on a subway station and he sees a woman
Won't
and
get
he's
to
like,
stand
well,
up.
but she's saying like we're equals, right? So I don't have to stand up to give you a seat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So all that has also created, women like your friend. Again, I don't know if that was her intention, but to say like, I really want a guy who, who is a man.
Yeah.
Who it doesn't mean that it has to, that he's not vulnerable,
Yeah.
or that's how I see it. I like when I think of a masculine man, a guy, I think a guy that's vulnerable enough, but a guy that is also there to help me if I need to, and that can, support me. Because in some way or the other, he doesn't have to carry me in, like physically in my shoulders, but I enjoy if somebody stands up and offers me the seat in the subway.
Yeah.
Hold the door
So
for me.
I don't like right. So
walking on the
exactly,
side of the
and I
street.
think
Yeah.
and I
Mhm.
think
About that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
probably as a consequence of this extreme feminism that denies every, like, I don't need any man in my life, I don't need any support, like I'd rather take a seat from a woman but not from a man.
Mhm.
Or so men are not doing, and men have always been, like it suits a role of protectors, right? Of
Right.
caring, like
Protector.
from the cave, because
Yeah.
in the caves men have the physical strength. Most of the cases, I'm not saying women are not stronger than men nowadays. Many are, but by genes, men were the ones like by genes, women deliver kids, right?
Right. But
That's something
takes
a
lot.
man cannot do.
Right.
And then men were more in tune to like labor and force, intensive work.
Okay.
So there is some, I think those roles have been so like,
Right.
rejected that it's gotten to an extreme, and your friend just want like
The old school, she wants something back to the
But
original. She did mention
that
that.
not necessarily have to be a bad thing. No, she's not looking for the guy who yells at her, who doesn't show emotion, who doesn't like care for society, for his feelings. She might be just, something in the middle.
So
maybe.
are you, and actually I was going to ask you, Zair, and then I have a question for you about these ideas of masculinity. But for you, Zair, because the idea of masculinity and what a man is also cultural. And so coming from Venezuela, what is your idea of what a man is? You said a little bit, but can a man cry?
I mean, I think this is like a worldwide thing where men don't cry. I mean,
Oh,
it's
you think
not.
it's a worldwide thing?
I think. I don't think. I mean, I cannot talk for indigenous communities or for like. There are many communities, and maybe in some places, women are the rulers and the guys cry. But in general, in our Western societies, I think that's the thing.
And is
Men
that a
cannot
good
be weak.
thing?
It's not a good thing.
Men can't be weak, right?
Yeah, it's never a good thing. But again, I don't think we have to attach that men don't cry with men being masculine. You know what I mean?
And to you, masculine is men doing the things of like protector, like what? Actually, now that you say it, my friend was talking about like how back in the day when men and women would date, the man would make sure he's walking on the outside of the street to protect her from oncoming traffic, or he would open the door, or he would pay the bill on the first date. So those were, I guess, masculine gestures or behaviors that men did. So that you're saying is a good thing. Maybe we should hold on to that. And it's because of the toxic woman or toxic female or femininity, you called it toxic femininity, that is the pushback now. Like men stop doing those things because they're like, oh, okay, we're all equal. And so you're saying that we should bring at least those things back?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just trying to read the perspective of your friend.
She was, I think she was saying she wants all
Like,
those
I
things.
don't, like...
Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not against those things. I still kind of
Like, it's not that I date often, because
Yeah.
I'm with the same partner for 10, 12 years. So those things, I don't have an insight on what do I want, or I want this guy, or I haven't had this guy. So I'm just trying to put a voice to your friend to see if that resonates or makes sense. I don't know.
I'm sure that's what she's reacting to, that she wants the good old days where men would do those things, right?
But something that it's also like that I really like, not like, but I really think it's important when I hear masculinity. I have heard a lot of theories about us having masculine energy and feminine energy, right? And to me, when you told me about masculine, I'm like, I think about energy. I don't think masculine equals strength, caveman, or gentleman. I think that there is an energy in both masculine and feminine. I think we both have masculine energy and feminine energy. And I think both energies have to somehow coexist in harmony in each individual, whether he's male, female, non-binary, whatever, gender. So, and that's how, like, and I think that's also an internal world, right? Like, an internal work. How do we balance our energies so it feels in tune with who we are instead of what society dictates of us?
I have to say, so I agree with that, and that's something that I started coming to later in understanding of myself. I know, like, around 29, 30 was a very freeing time in my life, because I was like, that was the first time I started coming to myself and say, oh, I'm a nerd, and you know what? I don't care what anyone thinks. So once I allowed to myself not to care what anyone thinks about me, it really freed me up and felt wonderful. And so I would wear bright colors, pink, whatever. I don't care. Like, to me, like, what the things I like, if it's considered feminine or it looks feminine, like, I don't care. And then it's like, why not get in touch with that part of me? Like, that doesn't make me any less of a man. Actually, I feel more...
That feels like
confident.
Masculine energy.
Yes,
because it's owning
right.
who you are.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. And so it was very empowering. So now the thing of, like, I don't even think about, like, what's masculine or feminine. I don't in my life. I will say, okay, fine. When I go on dates, there's still this, like, old school thing of, like, opening the door, pulling out the chair. I still do that. And I think that's just part of my training.
Why do you think you do it? Because of culture?
No, that's just it's so ingrained in me. I'm just an old dog, so I haven't learned new tricks yet. So, I do it without even thinking.
Yeah.
The one thing I kind of stopped, and I actually got chastised, but it was just something I didn't know. It was the whole walking on the side of the street. And there was a woman I had dated who really chastised me. She's like, hey, you should be walking on this other side. I was like, oh, why? She was like, well, because that's what the man does. They walk on the side of the street. I don't know if you... Yeah, it's
I knew this because my dad was born in 1924,
right.
So he told me this.
He's
like, men should walk on this side of the woman, but, like, I don't care at all.
By the
about
way,
that.
so I looked into it,
Yeah.
and that thing was created.
Guillermo does it all the time.
Oh, he still does.
He does it.
See, it's a thing.
I don't care, but he always does it.
Wow, that's good to know.
And then
but
if I ask him, he's like, and to his point,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he
thinks about it.
He consciously thinks it's
ingrained.
something learned, like a man behavior. Like he knows I'm very distracted, so I can cross the street and not looking at the light.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he will
Yeah.
always point towards that, but he always does it. He will go.
Makes on the side.
Yeah.
So I looked into it. So that convention started from a real smart place. Back when there were horses or horse-drawn carriages, men would walk on the side facing the horses so they protect the woman. It's like less. Yeah, sure. Can a car jump out on the sidewalk and hit you?
A bicycle for sure in New York.
Yeah. All right. Maybe it's more valid now with the bikes, so that makes sense. But yeah, so that's why that convention is like. I don't know how necessary it is today, but I had a question. So getting back to this idea of masculinity being strength. So actually, if we're talking about like strength, I actually don't know anyone stronger than you, Victoria. You just ran.
I can do like 5 push-ups though. It's just my legs.
Yes, but okay, let's talk about, because all right, here's another. You
no
asked,
upper body.
all right, but when you asked me like what is being a man and to me and what my idea of strength is, and I said doing the right thing because it's the hardest thing. To me, it's also grit. You know, like how much can you endure? How much can you withstand? That to me is real strength, not like picking up a boulder or being cruel to a woman and showing that you're the alpha. Like that to me isn't strength. So then when I think of grit as strength,
it's about resilience, right? Like that you can, pursue that.
Keep
you fall
pushing.
and you can stand up, and then, like you're
right,
not
you don't
there.
cave,
Like
you don't crumble
you don't give up.
when things don't go your way. You don't just like fall into a puddle of mush. Like that's real strength, right? And so then, okay, so now getting back to you, you just ran your second 100-mile marathon. I can't run.
It doesn't fit in our brains like that. You can do that.
I wish I could transfer what it's like into other people's heads.
Well, no, but that's the whole point. Many people, it's not that they can't do it. They don't have the grit and the resilience to do it.
Or the want. I mean,
or the
really,
want.
it's like you have to really
you have to work.
To do it.
You have to work. You have to earn it, right? Like I can't do that right now. So you are physically a stronger runner than me, like by far, right? So does that make you masculine? Do you feel
I'd say it's masculine energy.
All right.
100%.
Okay.
Like that, channeling that. And I've been thinking about this a lot because anytime after I do one of these races, I just try to process like, what was that for me emotionally? And it made me realize that my energy going into these races is there's no doubt in my mind that I will not finish.
Wow.
When I start, I'm not thinking like of fear. Like it's buried. It's so buried because I'm just so in the moment and like really confident when I start. And that to me feels like a masculine energy. And I've been thinking about it. And I wrote this post on Instagram about it actually, about how I wish I could channel that more into my everyday life. This like having no doubt,
confidence,
that just everything I approach, just being so certain of it. And I think that feels like a masculine energy to me. And when I actually like, before I have really important meetings on Zoom or in person or whatever, I actually will channel that masculine energy and confidence in like how I sit and how I walk into a room, rather than like the softer side of me that is, I don't want to say the phrase not confident, but just has doubts.
And would you say that softer side to you, let's say that has doubts, that's, let's say, feminine, do you think that's also like cultural or what's been taught to you?
Yes.
Right.
I think like the feminine energy for me, like women are taught in a very direct, indirect way, just society, to be so accommodating. And I think like over so many, and you talk about like 29, 30, those years of being so like crucial and beautiful for you of being able to own who you are. And I felt that like in the past couple years.
Oh, couple of
in
years.
my like mid 30s getting to.
Okay.
Because I realized I spent so much of my life really just so in tune with other people's emotions and such a good listener and so wanting to help other people and to make other people happy and to be a caregiver in many different ways. And then I lost track of my own feelings in a different way of not like burying them, of how we were talking about. Like I'm very feeling, but not being aware of how I felt, just having these like emotions like in me. And
that
now I'm
sounds
like
very
owning
feminine.
it.
So
Yeah.
listen, what I Google a little bit about energies, right? So, and the reason why we all have feminine and masculine is because it reflects yin and yang, right? So then the yang is a masculine feminine and the yin is a feminine, right? So then the masculine energy. The masculine energy, the yang, has the yang qualities, and it's associated with structure, action, direction, problem solving and logic, focus, purpose, taking initiative, leadership, drive, ambition, you know, protecting, providing, independence. And then the feminine energy is intuition and inner knowing, creativity and expression, nurturing, empathy, compassion, being present.
But all of those are for other empathy, compassion towards other
openness,
people.
yes. So collaboration, connection. So yeah, and I think our inner work has to be how do we balance both, because we need both.
Yeah.
And these are not
100%.
These are not tied to gender.
Yeah. Right.
It's like it's tied to being a human.
Exactly.
But they were tied to gender, right? That's the whole. That's the whole.
Yeah. Like what I think what society has done is to, if you're a male, then you have to only have
the
masculine energy.
That's what's acceptable.
And then forget about feminine. And that's and in both sides. I think if you think about it, when we are like kind of like pushing one type of energy from ourselves, we are depressed, or we are unhappy, or we have trouble communicating, or we have trouble relating to our surroundings. Right?
Does that resonate? Did what Victoria say to you about what it means to you to be feminine resonate with you? I know we're now moving towards we're moving away from the discussion of masculine, but I think it's good to talk. So did that resonate? Victoria's experience about what she grew up thinking feminine was?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it has. I mean, again, I think what culture has done is what culture always does, in my opinion, is to put labels on us. So if you are this way, you're in this box, and this is what you have to develop, right? That's why boys don't cry, right? Because you have to be the decision maker, the strong, the leader.
Can't show weakness, right?
Greedy, you can't show weakness, because otherwise you would be leaning towards feminine, and how they wouldn't want that for you, and vice versa, right? So I think going back to the introduction of the subject, I do think we are evolving into, as you said, into a place where men have not only the permission, but it's imperative and needed that they connect to their feminine, that they kind of like destroy those beliefs that you cannot cry, that you cannot show vulnerability, that you cannot. I mean, when an artist male, that's an artist male, right? He's somebody who is in tune with their feminine energy.
Must be, as an artist, right? If you're going to be creative, you have to be in tune with your emotions, right? And I think that's the real harm of being all one thing or another. If you're all right, and what you were saying about, if you were all feminine energies, let's say, then you're never thinking about yourself, and you're never putting yourself first. You're always caring for others, right? It's the idea of being caring. And so you're missing out on what's important and necessary for yourself. And so you're harming yourself in a way. And the same thing, if you're like all masculine, and have any emotions, I mean, that's not realistic. I mean, we all equally as humans have emotions, and so to try to block it out, to ignore them, to pretend they don't exist, it's only going to manifest in harm in some other way, whether you blow up. And this is why, let's say, traditionally masculine men would get violent and blow up. It's because they're bottling things in.
Yeah, it has to come out.
It's going to come
in
out
some form.
in a negative and destructive way. And so, like, being balanced and balancing your whole self, because, yeah, we have both sides. I mean, yeah, and I'll give you another example, because I thought about this also as I was thinking about this idea of masculinity and strength. So I was a personal trainer many years ago, and I was okay. I was in much better shape, but not that much bigger than this. I didn't have the body to be big. I couldn't get like this, but I was a personal trainer, and all the guys were the big bodybuilding guys, and they were like tough and strong and right? They were masculine. So they were kind of, and my friends were all the women trainers. Those were my friends. And I would take classes with them and do cardio with them. And that's what I was interested in, was cardio. All I cared about was health. My interest in doing training was my health and longevity. Even at 20, I was thinking that way. But the guys would kind of make fun of me a little bit. Like, and they would say, like, man, your arms are so skinny. Like, you should, and they were trying to sell me steroids. They're like, you should take steroids.
Oh, wow.
It'll bulk you up. Yeah. Well, that was gym culture.
Culture.
There was a gym culture in
90s,
I don't remember, 2000s or whatever. So they were trying to convince me. And I'll be like, no, guys, I'm doing this for health. I don't care what I look like. I didn't care back then. And all I cared about was my idea of strength, which was endurance and grit. And I had that. And so one day we all went hiking as a group. And I took them, because I would go hiking every weekend. And so we took all the trainers on this like hiking trip. And I remember I was wearing a weighted vest, 60 pounds, and ankle weights, wrist weights. So I had like 75 pounds on me.
It's like a super hike.
That's what I would do, because again, all I cared about was my idea of strength, not how much I can bench press, but like how long can I go, and with that. And so I was in the lead, and the only ones keeping up with me were the women trainers, because they had that endurance. And the men, the so-called men on steroids that were big, they were dropping like flies.
Yeah, their arms are weighing them down.
Exactly. And they never did cardio. They never developed that. And so, again, it's this idea of like, what is really strength? And then you can say like, well, maybe it also takes a lot of strength, right, to take care of others and to like put others before yourself, like feminine energy. But actually that takes a lot of strength. And so like this whole idea of
emotional strength
and emotion,
too.
right?
That's
which men tend not to have any, right?
Yeah.
Because
emotional resiliency.
We're not supposed to have any strength, emotions. So I don't know. I think this whole idea of masculine, feminine is feminine, masculine. It's actually kind of silly to me.
I feel like it's where language kind of fails us too.
That's
because the same thing to use to describe for one of resilience could be very masculine, like getting through a race, but then the emotional, like there's also emotional resilience, which is feels feminine, of like processing something and dealing with it and being very internal about how you're getting through something. So
that's a great point.
It's just language can't really do it justice. I feel like it's just kind of something instinctual that you feel from people or in the moment or from yourself. Like, oh, this feels like a very masculine energy kind of moment versus not.
But are you conscious about it? Like when you go to a meeting, you
sometimes
feel this is masculine
Sometimes
energy,
I think, what would a man do? I literally think it.
Oh, wow.
I literally
I don't think I have.
it.
I don't think I've lived my life like, or my moments thinking this is masculine, this is feminine. I just who am I? That's
when you're producing, do you feel like Victoria, like, oh, what would a man do? How would I know? You never thought that way?
I never think on masculine or feminine.
I think it. I'm very self-conscious about how short I am. So like the way I hold myself when I know like I have to be the leader today, like I'm in charge, I'm commanding a set, like I'll wear bigger shoes. I'll try to like appear larger than I am. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like
Wow.
I try to think a lot about how I'm coming
You're
across.
being
Rather like, oh,
perceived.
I'm just like a petite
see.
girl hanging out here. How fun. And just how nice I am. I think my niceness gets confused with weakness.
Well, it does always.
Always.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been interesting just hearing sometimes how I'll hear from my producers how I'm perceived.
My best friend can relate to that, but I don't think she coins it as being like trying to be masculine. She's just trying to be older because she like you, she looks very young and she is a big time cardiologist.
Yeah.
So the first thing when patients see her
Right.
is like doubt that she has the credentials to treat them because she looks beautiful and young. So she always like for work she has to like the heels, dress up like
she tries to age herself so she'll be taken more seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah, people call me a young filmmaker. I'm like, you know, like middle-aged.
No,
approaching.
Go for it.
No,
it's
I
good.
am. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
You are young.
I'll ride that out. Don't look at the grays. But yeah, it's been interesting hearing, and also, you know, like at film festivals with the film we made together when I was touring around with that.
Well, you were a younger filmmaker.
I was younger.
Then. Yes.
I was younger, but the and this is kind of different than the masculine feminine thing, but two things that I will never forget. People kept coming up to my boyfriend saying like, oh, because we were just standing together and they assumed he made the movie and that I just acted in it. And then I was on a panel once and all male filmmakers and the guy that was, what's it called? The MC, the host of the panel. When he turns to me to ask me something, he went, "And what about you, sweetheart?"
Ooh.
And now I think I know I would say something, but then it shocked me. I immediately felt less than everyone on the panel.
Sure. And that's surprising coming from a film festival where you imagine they were a little bit more. That is bad.
Because I have those experiences where like.
Men.
In a bar, like you go to the bartender, and I'm with Guillermo, and I ask for something, and the answer looking at him and not to me. So that happens
all the time, all the time with me.
Really?
All the time. I'll have people not talk to me
Yes.
and only talk to my boyfriend.
Yes.
Yep.
Especially like not that much in New York, but when you go
Could it
to
be-
other states, that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could that be just like being respectful to your boyfriend in like some weird way? I mean,
You can talk to me, like what?
I don't know. I know.
That's another totally different subject.
Yeah, now we're getting away from the masculine. But anyway, it's all kind of interconnected though.
It is. I loved what you said about a failure of language. And it's because language is so tied to how you think of the world, right? And so like so if being masculine means to be strong, like what is strength? And that's a failure of language because you just say things like strength is everything you listed. It's physical. It's physical. It's aggressiveness. It's that's supposedly strength, but you can also look at it another way, and it's like no, maybe being feminine is actually harder, and it takes a lot more strength to do. And so, I guess if I was to wrap this up, maybe we should wrap this up. I would say like I was encouraged to see that the idea of masculinity was starting to change in our society and bringing in this idea of like this balance between masculine and feminine energies. And it's disheartening to hear though that there seems to be this resurgence or pushback about this like old school idea of masculinity. Like, I think there's everything has a good and bad. Masculine and feminine both have their strengths. And so it's like not being all one or another, but how do we find balance within ourselves? And well, at least that's how I see it.
I see totally the opposite.
Oh, really?
I feel this changing and it's getting better.
Oh,
I don't feel
you think it's getting better?
Certain or like that it's coming back. I think it's On the contrary, I think
Oh,
every day more and more men are tuning into their vulnerability, and I think,
that's
and they are openly connecting to having both energies within them. I see it's moving
great.
forward. I don't
Good,
think it's
good.
going back.
Because I just keep hearing about the manosphere and this push on social media of toxic masculinity, how young men are starting to learn some of that. But
Yeah, I think
recent,
yeah.
it's pretty recent. But yeah,
What
well,
do you
I
think?
mean, yeah, maybe I have heard that, and I think maybe it's younger generations of just, you know, we go really far in one direction of like, it's okay to like men should feel things, all of this, and then the extremism of everything, feminism, masculinity, and I think there will always be a pushback. So I don't know. I think it's great to be talking about it because a couple decades ago, you know,
yeah, you couldn't
Yeah.
talk
even
about
talk
it.
about men
that's what
crying
I'm
is like,
saying.
oh, I don't want to
see-
talk about.
I see
That's-
a huge.
So that's great.
Yeah.
I was a very different person a couple of decades ago,
Yeah.
for sure.
I
Yeah.
think it's.
Weren't we all?
Yeah.
And I think, I believe,
Very.
if a man nowadays has gotten in touch with their vulnerability and with their feelings, they're not gonna turn back. Like you
Right.
wouldn't go back to who you were two
Yeah.
decades ago.
I'm also too old to change now.
Come on.
in your ways.
I'm set in
That's
my
it.
ways. No, I wouldn't want to. Once I had that freedom to be who I
Exactly.
am, like why would I want to go back to this old
Exactly.
idea?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Victoria. well,
Okay,
and did
that's
we
good.
close? Yeah, everyone closed, right?
I said my little.
Does it need a closing?
Felt
No,
like I put it on
no.
a little feminine bow on
Yeah.
the.
Oh, good. Thank you. That's what we need, a feminine bow on
little
this.
feminine, and it's done.